All right, so are you ready? We're going deep today, deep into the world of Tom Cruise, just for you.
Yeah, we've got articles, we've got movie insights, even some glimpses into his personal life. It's all here, ready to be explored. The big question, is he just an action star? Or is there something more? Is there more to this Hollywood icon? Let's find out. What do you say?
Well, what strikes me right off the bat is how much his early life seems to have, played a part in how his career has unfolded.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, born Thomas Cruise, Mother the Fourth. That's a name to live up to, right?
Yeah.
And a childhood with lots of moves, family life wasn't always easy.
Right. And, we can't forget about his dyslexia. Makes his command of language on screen, all the more impressive, wouldn't you say? You'd never know he had trouble reading growing up, right?
Yeah.
Especially with all those complex scripts and those powerful lines he's known for.
Absolutely. And dyslexia is, it can be a real hurdle, learning and processing language. But often those who overcome it, they develop a certain tenacity.
Yeah, I see that. It makes you wonder if that drive, that push to go beyond, maybe it comes from those early experiences, overcoming obstacles.
Like he channeled that energy, right, into this larger than life persona.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of larger than life, let's go back to the 80s. Young Tom Cruise, just starting out in Hollywood, small roles, trying to make it. And then 1983, Risky Business explodes. That scene, the sock sliding, it's iconic, it's movie history. Why do you think that moment, that single moment, captivated audiences so much?
Well, that movie definitely put him on the map. But what's interesting is that he didn't start as an action star.
Huh, right.
It was Top Gun a few years later in '86, where his image shifted. He became that daring pilot, the epitome of cool, and his action star persona started to really solidify.
And then, of course, that leads us to Mission Impossible, the cornerstone of his career, right? The franchise that made him the action hero.
Yeah.
It's amazing how he's managed to keep that series going so long, always pushing the limits, every new film.
It's really remarkable, his commitment to doing his own stunts, even the ones that would make most people terrified.
Oh, absolutely.
Hanging from the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world, in Ghost Protocol. That wasn't just a stunt, that was a statement.
Yeah, totally.
He's known for wanting to use practical effects, instead of CGI.
Yeah.
Which is getting pretty rare in Hollywood these days.
Really is.
Shows his dedication to giving the audience a real experience, something visceral and authentic.
That's a great point. It's not just trickery, it's raw, it's real, it's daring. And let's not forget, skydiving from 25,000 feet for another film. Is this his way of conquering challenges, proving something, not just to the world, but maybe even to himself?
Maybe. It's definitely a powerful display of will. A refusal to let fear or perceived limits hold him back.
But here's where it gets really interesting, right? Tom Cruise, he's not just muscles and stunts. This guy has 3 Academy Award nominations for Born on the 4th of July, Jerry Maguire, and Magnolia, showing a range that goes way beyond action.
Oh, absolutely. And he's got a reputation for being incredibly professional, with an intense work ethic on set. Directors, co-stars, they all praise his dedication, his meticulous approach.
He's been at the top in Hollywood for over 4 decades. It can't just be luck or charisma. There's a relentless drive there, a real commitment to excellence, It's remarkable.
He always seems to be evolving, pushing those boundaries, never content with just repeating himself.
And on top of it all, he's involved in philanthropy. Millions donated to various causes, children's hospitals in particular.
Right.
Adds another dimension to this persona, There's a compassionate side there that contrasts with that high-octane action hero image.
It's that duality that makes him so fascinating,
Yeah.
right? He's got this intensity, but also generosity. He's pushing limits, but giving back at the same time.
And here's a fun fact for you. He's a licensed pilot, flies his own planes. Talk about living life on your own terms, always in pursuit of new experiences, new challenges, both on screen and off.
Definitely an adventurous spirit. It speaks to a constant desire for growth, for exploration.
So as we're putting all this together, this puzzle that is Tom Cruise, what's jumping out at you? What's making you say, wow, didn't know that? Or, now that's interesting?
Well, for me, it's how he defies easy categorization. He's not just an action star. He's complex with this wide range of interests and passions. What keeps him going after all these years? Is it that desire to push past limitations, to keep pushing the envelope?
That's a great question. What drives him? What fuels that fire? Clearly, he's more than a name on a poster. He's a real person with a unique story, a story of challenges, of triumphs, of relentlessly chasing those dreams.
And that's something we can all relate to, right? On some level, that desire to push ourselves, overcome obstacles, leave our mark on the world.
Now, while those on-screen achievements are incredible, his personal life has been, well, let's just say a source of intrigue and some controversy. So let's dive into that part of his story and see what we find, shall we?
Cruise's personal life, huh?
Yeah.
He has been under the microscope, hasn't it? You almost can't separate the man from the myth, especially when it comes to his relationships.
That's true. His marriages especially. I mean, tabloid fodder for decades, 3 times, right? Mimi Rogers, Nicole Kidman, Katie Holmes, and each one, the relationships, the endings, it's all been this whirlwind of speculation.
But what's interesting is how, despite all that attention, he's managed to keep some things private. He hardly ever talks about his personal life in interviews, which of course only makes people more curious.
And then you've got the Scientology factor, which adds a whole other layer to it all. He's been a big advocate for the Church of Scientology for years. It's undeniably shaped his life.
Some reports say that Scientology played a part in some of those marriages ending. But we have to be careful. Those are just claims. We shouldn't speculate on personal things. But the influence of Scientology on his life, that's undeniable.
For sure. It's important to approach this topic with sensitivity, with respect. We're just acknowledging that his beliefs, they've been a big part of his public image and have sparked a lot of discussion.
Definitely created a divide among his fans, hasn't it? Some admire how strongly he holds on to his beliefs. Others are more critical of the organization itself and its influence on him. It's a reminder that even these global icons like Tom Cruise, they're still individuals with their own beliefs and their own struggles.
Yeah. It reminds you that fame doesn't protect you from the complexities of life. But, amidst all the talk about the marriages, about Scientology, there's another aspect of his personal life that kind of gets lost sometimes. His role as a father.
Right. He's got 3 children, Isabella and Connor, adopted with Nicole Kidman, and then Suri, his daughter, with Katie Holmes. His relationships with his kids have been, impacted by the divorces and his commitment to Scientology. But he is, reportedly, a very involved dad.
There have been reports of strained relationships with Suri in particular since he and Katie Holmes split, and she left the Church of Scientology, of course. But we gotta remember, family dynamics are complicated, especially when they're played out under this constant media spotlight.
It does make him seem more human, doesn't it? In a way that all the action movies and the red carpets can't. Behind all the Hollywood glamour, he's still facing those same challenges, those same joys of parenthood that everyone else does.
It's a reminder that fame and fortune, they don't make you immune to love, to loss, to all those complexities that come with family relationships.
Absolutely. So we've seen this fascinating interplay, haven't we? His ambition, his dedication to his craft, his beliefs, his family. And the story's still unfolding.
And speaking of his story, let's turn the page, shall we? Let's talk about the legacy of Tom Cruise. We've explored his personal journey, the highs, the lows, the wins, the controversies. Now let's zoom out a bit, look at his impact on Hollywood, on action movies in particular, and what might the future hold for this enigmatic figure. Okay, so final act of our Tom Cruise deep dive. We've gone from, kid with dyslexia to global icon, explored that personal life, all the ups and downs. Now let's step back for a second. Think about his impact. What's the legacy, the lasting impact Tom Cruise is going to leave?
Well, his influence on Hollywood, it's massive. He's been a box office powerhouse, over 4 decades now?
Yeah.
That says something about staying power, enduring appeal. He's one of those guys, those rare actors who can get a movie made just because his name is attached to it. That's star power right there.
And it's not just being a star, right? He's a force reshaped action cinema, that dedication to his own stunts, pushing the limits of what you can even do on screen. He set a whole new standard for the genre.
Think about it. How many action stars are out there actually hanging off buildings, flying helicopters, doing halo jumps for real? It's that authenticity, that willingness to really put himself out there for the entertainment. It's what connects with people. It's not just movie magic. It's a real person doing these extraordinary things, and you feel that, right?
Yeah.
It makes for a thrilling experience.
Yeah, it's impressive. And honestly, a little bit scary to watch sometimes. Makes you wonder, where does that come from? Is it that same determination, from early on, overcoming the dyslexia, the tough childhood?
There's a certain fearlessness there, right? refusal to let limitations, to let anything hold him back.
Yeah.
And it's not just the spectacle. He's chosen roles with depth, with complexity, not afraid to play characters that are flawed, vulnerable, even unlikable sometimes.
It's that willingness to take those risks, to explore all those different sides of acting. It's kept his career so interesting, so engaging. I mean, he could have just stuck with the action hero, played it safe, but he's always challenging himself, keeps the audience guessing.
And that brings us to the question of the future, right? What's next for Tom Cruise? He's in his 60s now, but no signs of slowing down. In fact, it seems like the stunts, the projects, they're getting even more ambitious.
There's this quote from him, it sums it up perfectly. He said, "I'm motivated by the fear of being average." And that drive, that refusal to settle, it defines his whole career. He's not content just to sit back and relax. He's always going for something more, something bigger, something bolder.
It does make you wonder, what impossible mission is next?
Right.
Will he ever say, okay, that's enough? Or will he keep pushing it, defying gravity, defying age, until, let's hope it never comes to that.
Yeah, part of me worries about that, definitely. But there's also that part that's just captivated by it all, that unwavering determination. It's inspiring to see someone so dedicated, pushing their own limits and captivating audiences all over the world while they're at it.
So wrapping up our deep dive here, feels like we've only just scratched the surface. Tom Cruise, he's complex. He's a puzzle with pieces that keep shifting, keep changing.
We've gone through his journey, the early struggles, the huge success, that controversial personal life, his impact on Hollywood, undeniable. We've looked at the man, the myth, the legend, but there's always more to discover.
We've given you the pieces. Now it's up to you to put the puzzle together. What drives him? What does he really believe? What will that final legacy be?
Questions for you to think about, to ponder. We've laid out a framework, a way to understand this enigmatic figure, but the final interpretation, well, that's yours.
One thing's for sure, though, the story isn't over yet, and I can't wait to see what he does next.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Tom Cruise. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and never stop being curious.